Hello, this is BBC World News. I'm Krupa Padhy and these are our top stories. South Korea on alert after coronavirus spreads through a church congregation. 200 people have been infected. In Iran, 4 people die from the virus. You used the word responsible there. I've been asking your public for questions that they would like to ask you. I had one response from a gentleman called Javier who says that he wants to know whether you are going to reinforce those measures when it comes to lockdown, because some people, he says, are not taking them seriously enough. We need more co-responsibility.
It's true that at the end of the day, what we need is citizens to behave.
And you specified this is not a time for finger pointing, but there has been concern from some members of your public that Madrid, which many considered to be the epicenter of this crisis in your country, was not locked down soon enough.
Well, I think we've got 3 areas in the country that show higher numbers.
I'm joined now by Dr. Yu Jie, a China expert at the think tank Chatham House, and our China media analyst, Kerry Allen. Good to have both of you with us. Let me start with you, Dr. Jie. I want to understand the fact that this is a celebratory time of the year, and I'm assuming a lucrative time of the year. What's been the immediate impact to the economy?
I mean, indeed, as you said, it's probably the most profit-making for most of consumer-oriented industry in China. I mean,
you've touched upon it there, but in layman's terms, how do you go about creating a vaccine? I mean, what are the steps that you need to take?
Right, so there are several different approaches to developing a vaccine.
Let's cross to India now. The rains have eased in Kerala, giving disaster response teams the chance to get to the worst hit areas. Now we're looking at 22,000 people who have been rescued so far by boat or by helicopter. The death toll, though, that has now risen to past 350. The numbers needing help, well, this is incredibly large. We're looking at 750,000 people. They are now in shelters. And there's growing concern about the threat from waterborne diseases. And that is President Moon and President Trump both addressing a room full of military personnel and servicemen ahead of that meeting, the demilitarized zone, expected with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. President Trump there reiterating how that meeting came about, how that spontaneous meeting came about through a tweet, and President Moon there praising President Trump for bringing about this historic moment. Let's cross to Mariko Oy, who is there at the North-South Korean border, and she has more on this. And plenty more from Jenny throughout this special coverage. But with me in the studio here is Dr. Helen Fry, who is a World War II historian. And Dr. Fry, throughout what we've just heard from Jenny, you were visibly very moved.
yeah, I mean, I have interviewed Holocaust survivors. I've interviewed...
That's the crux of it. I mean, you talk about 20, 30 years of research, and over those years, you will have met and re-met some of the people that we're seeing here who are looking increasingly frail and have been through so much.
And there's talk, of course, that for some of them it might be their last time that they can actually visit Auschwitz.
Amarnath, I know that you are of Sri Lankan heritage. Putting aside your expertise in the area, looking at this from abroad, how are you and fellow Sri Lankans in the diaspora feeling?
I think a lot of us are heartbroken and devastated.
You mentioned the word reality, and I want to talk about the reality of the Iranian people, because central to so much of this is the sanctions imposed upon them and the, let's just say, the friction it might be causing between the regime and the people. Tell me a bit more about that, the reality of living under these sanctions.
What we need, I mean, this is really a very important question.
Chris, I've been following your live page and your tweets extensively, rather entertaining. This was put by at least those writing on the BBC's live page as the biggest event in YouTube history, in fact, possibly internet history. Did it meet your expectations?
It did, actually.
And then I opened it and it was Jurgen Klopp.
Good on you, Dara. It was certainly worth a shot. That's your feel-good story of the day. Right, up next, it's Focus on Africa.